How well do you know your favorite players? Guess the player by transfers. Gabriel Jesus. Guess the player by transfers. Kai Havertz. Guess the player by transfers. Dominic Solanke. Guess the player by transfers. Sergio Reguilón. Guess the player by transfers. Emiliano Martinez. Guess the player by transfers. James Milner. Guess the player by transfers. Kevin De Bruyne. Guess the player by transfers. Mohamed Salah. Guess the player by transfers. Kyle Walker. Guess the player by transfers. William Saliba. Guess the player by transfers. Jorginho. Guess the player by transfers. Ollie Watkins. Guess the player by transfers. Clément Lenglet. Guess the player by transfers. Ivan Toney. Guess the player by transfers. João Pedro. Guess the player by transfers. Leandro Trossard. Guess the player by transfers. John Stones. Guess the player by transfers. Bernardo Silva. Guess the player by transfers. Dominik Szoboszlai. Guess the player by transfers. Virgil van Dijk. Guess the player by transfers. Ederson. Guess the player by transfers. Ruben Dias. Guess the player by transfers. Ben White. Guess the player by transfers. Manuel Akanji. Guess the player by transfers. Mateo Kovacic. Guess the player by transfers. Jeremy Doku. Guess the player by transfers. Diogo Jota. Guess the player by transfers. Joel Matip. For more quizzes, subscribe our channel.